Remember how, as kids, each of us would run to the nearest puddle, pond, or ditch after rain in the spring and catch tadpoles? Yes, those black, shiny, sex-squirming larvae with huge tails, which we, as a group of boys or girls, would catch with our hands, using glasses made from old tights or simply a mayonnaise jar. We'd bring them home, place them on the windowsill, fill them with tap water, and wait for the magic to happen. First, they'd sprout hind legs, then front legs, and then the tail would begin to disappear, and instead of a fish, a tiny frog or toad would emerge. Whether in a village near Rostov, at a dacha in the Saratov region, in the Kazakh steppe, in the Ukrainian fields, or in the Belarusian swamps, this was an obligatory spring ritual. We fed them breadcrumbs, grass, and even tried to observe them breathing through their gills under a magnifying glass. Some tadpoles died in the jar because the water went rancid, but those that survived were a true miracle. Look, it grew legs. This was our first biology lesson, our first encounter with the transformation of a living creature right before our eyes. So today we're talking about tadpoles, these amazing amphibian larvae that transform from fish into frogs and toads. These aren't just black worms from a puddle. This is an entire life stage that has been unfolding for millions of years in our ponds and puddles, and which we've all witnessed with our own eyes at some point. Let's take it one step at a time. What are tadpoles, really? What species live in our region of the CIS? How do they live day after day? What incredible life cycle, complete with metamorphosis, do they have? What do they eat? How long do they live? How beneficial are they to nature? What interesting, useful, and completely useless yet incredibly cool facts does science know about them? I'll tell you everything in detail, with scientific detail, but without it being boring. So after this video, you can go back to the pond in the spring, look at tadpoles with respect, and maybe even set up a proper mini aquarium at home for observing them. Ready? Let's go. First, what are they? A tadpole is the larval stage of amphibians from the order Anura, or frogs and toads. The scientific name for this stage is tadpole. In our language, tadpole comes from the word head plus tail because the head is large and the tail is long. They emerge from eggs that adult frogs and toads lay in the water in the spring. The eggs can be clumps in the common frog or long strings in the toad. Each egg hatches in 5 to 20 days, depending on the water temperature, into a tiny tadpole measuring only 3 to 8 millimeters in length. At this point, it has no legs, only a large tail with a fin fold, external gills that look like small feathers behind the head, and a huge head with a mouth. The eyes are small, but they already see. The heart beats, the intestines work, and they immediately begin to move and search for food. In our region of the CIS, there are the most common types of tadpoles. From the most common frogs and toads that we all know from childhood, these include the tadpoles of the grass frog, the sharp-nosed frog, the frog, Rana temporaria, and Rana arles. The most classic are the black ones from puddles. Dark, almost black with golden spots on the body. They are very cold-hardy. Tadpoles of the lake frog, Rana riadibunda. Larger, greenish or brown, they live in large ponds and rivers. Tadpoles of the green toad, Buphoridis, and the common toad, Bufo. Toad tadpoles are usually lighter, and have a longer tail, and are slightly more fish-like. Tadpoles of the fire-bellied toad or other rare species in the steppes and forests. In the steppe regions of Kazakhstan and southern Russia, tadpoles are more often found in temporary puddles after rains. They must have time to metamorphose before the puddle dries. In the forested zones of northwestern Russia and Belarus, they are found in more permanent bodies of water. The size of adult tadpoles before metamorphosis ranges from 2 to 3 centimeters in most species to 10 to 12 centimeters in the marsh frog or Ompravarra. Some tropical species produce giant tadpoles. For example, the paradoxical frog, Sidis paradoxa from South America, has a head that grows up to 25 centimeters, while the adult frog is only 7 to 8 centimeters. This is an absolute record. The larva is larger than the parent. How do they live? They are completely aquatic. During the first few weeks, they are pure vegetarians. They eat algae, detritus, rotting plant matter, bacteria, and plumbum. Their mouth parts are specially adapted. They have horny teeth and filtering structures for scraping microalgae from the bottom and plant zones. They swim in schools, constantly wagging their tails like fish, and breathe through gills. Initially, they are external, then they retract and become internal. The skin is thin, and gas exchange also occurs through it. Water temperature is critical, optimally between 15 and 25 degrees Celsius. If it's cold, development slows. If it's too hot, the puddle can dry out prematurely. The coolest part is metamorphosis. This isn't just growing legs, it's a complete restructuring of the body under the influence of hormones. The main player is thyroxine, a thyroid hormone. When the head of the stack reaches a certain age, usually between 4 and 12 weeks at winters, the thyroid gland begins producing thyroxine. This triggers a cascade of changes. Hind legs appear. Initially, small gills develop at the base of the tail, resembling small buds. They gradually disappear. The front legs break through the skin. In frogs, they are hidden under the gill cover. The intestines shorten tenfold from a long herbivorous one to a short predatory one. The eyes shift, the jaws change, the tail gradually dissolves, self-destruct, undergo apoptosis, and nutrients are used to build a new body. The skin thickens and glands appear. The entire process takes from a few days to 2 to 3 weeks. Finally, the tadpole stops feeding, rises to the surface, breathes air, and emerges onto land as a small frog holding a saw. This is a true miracle of evolution. One creature transforms into something completely different. Scientists have been studying this process for decades. It helps us understand how hormones work, how organs develop, and even how to treat certain diseases in humans as humans. Tissue regeneration. Nutrition changes during metamorphosis. Towards the end of their life, many tadpoles become predatory, eating small crustaceans, mosquito larvae, and even other smaller tadpoles. Cannibalism is common when food is scarce. This helps the strongest survive. Interesting facts that will blow your mind. Tadpoles can regenerate. If a tail or leg is torn off in the early stages, it will grow back, like a lizard. Oru. So some tadpole species sing, produce sounds underwater for communication, and vibrate. In polluted water, development can go awry. Tadpoles emerge with two tails, extra legs, no legs at all. This is an indicator of environmental distress. In Australia and South America, there are species whose tadpoles are fed with their mother's milk and a special mucus. The most resilient tadpoles are those of tree frogs, which develop in small puddles, while those tree hollows, or even bromeliads in trees, oak wind. In the CIS, the fastest metamorphosis in fire-bellied toads is sometimes just a few weeks from egg to frog because puddles dry up quickly in the steppe. Tadpoles sense predators. If a fish or diving beetle is nearby, they hide or speed up their metamorphosis to quickly emerge onto land. Color depends on food and light. In the shade, it is darker. In the sun, it can be golden. Useful facts for nature and humans. Tadpoles are vital water body cleaners. They consume tons of algae and detritus, preventing algal blooms and improving oxygen levels. They themselves are food for fish, birds, dragonflies, and beetles. Without them, the food chain in ponds would collapse. They are an indicator of water quality. If tadpoles are numerous and healthy, the water is clean, free of heavy metals and pesticides. In medicine and science, the study of metamorphosis has helped understand the role of thyroxine in humans. Thyroid. Wound-healing drugs are now being developed based on the mechanisms of tadpole tail regeneration, or Zymon. In agriculture, they act as a natural mosquito control. Tadpoles eat larvae. Unhealthy but very cool and sometimes funny facts. In ancient times, people thought that frogs were born from mud. The theory of spontaneous generation. Tadpoles were proof. In some villages in the CIS, there is still a belief. If you swallow a tadpole, you'll become a stutterer or get warts. Complete nonsense, but the myth lives on. In Japan and China, tadpoles are sometimes bred in ornamental ponds as living amulets. There is an experiment. If you artificially add thyroxine to the tadpoles, water metamorphosis accelerates significantly. Scientists did this in laboratories as early as the 19th century. The largest tadpole in the world belongs to the paradoxical frog, measuring 25 centimeters, while the adult is a dwarf. Nature loves jokes. Tadpoles are more resistant to radiation in small doses than many other animals. There are studies after Chernobyl. Some black-bottomed aquatic animals survived. They can be kept in captivity for months. Aquarium capacity 5 to 10 liters. Water should be settled. Temperature 18 to 22 degrees Celsius. Food, spinach algae, special flake food. The main thing is to change the water and not overfeed. Enemies, fish, birds, newts, club beetles. A single diving beetle can eat dozens of tadpoles in a night. In winter, tadpoles do not hibernate. They either have already become frogs and burrowed into the mud, or die if they don't have time. A little more about modernity and ecology. Due to climate change, spring puddles in the steppes of the CIS dry up earlier. It is increasingly difficult for tadpoles to have time to metamorphose. Pesticide pollution from fields kills thousands of eggs and larvae. In cities, ponds are filling up, and frog populations are declining. But the good news is, simply leaving a small pond at your dock or in the countryside can save hundreds of tadpoles every year. You can even make a frog house made, filled with water and plants. In conclusion, tadpoles aren't just the black worms of childhood. They embody the miracle of transformation. They are a perfect adaptation to life on the border between water and land. They are a vital link in the ecosystem of our steppe seals and forests. That same tadpole you once brought home in a jar is now a frog that sings at night and eats mosquitoes. We've all witnessed this miracle. Today we can look at them not as toys but as true heroes of nature. If you grew up in the CIS and have your own story about tadpoles in a jar, share in the comments how and whether you ever saw a tail disappear. We're happy to share memories and photos from your childhood. And if you'd like more, the next video could be about nude toads or how to properly set up an aquarium to observe Metamorphoses deidasus. Take care of nature. Don't pour chemicals into ponds. And remember, every little miracle starts with an ordinary puddle. Bye.